Okay, so today on our Clean Kitchen Challenge, we're going to talk about dinner time cleanup. Now, in case you are watching this and you didn't watch any of the other ones, the first one started with just an image. I walked into my kitchen. I saw how good it felt to walk into a clean kitchen. I remember how bad it felt to always walk into a wreck of a kitchen. And I just thought, you know what? I want to do something that will help people to get there, to get to where I got to, which is walking into a clean kitchen every morning. It's really quite amazing. It's a wonderful feeling. And if you're living in a mess and you just don't know how to get out of it, then I understand. And this is something that can help you, especially when it comes to the dishes and kitchen. Okay, so here we go. Yesterday, we talked about doing the dishes, right? Getting all the dishes done. And at the end of that video, I talked about dinner time cleanup. And I know that so many people in my Tutor world, they're just exhausted at the end of the day. They're like, I just can't get to, cleaning up the kitchen after dinner. There's so many reasons. There's a long commute. There's hard days at work. There's whatever, right? There's a lot of reasons. And what I've come up with is something that's called the no excuse rule. I learned this from Pam Young and Peggy Jones from their book, Sidetracked Home Executives. I read back in 1989. And the no excuse rule is that there really is no excuse for a mess. And we get into this in my course TTU, and it's absolutely foundational to anybody that wants to change their lives and not live in a disaster anymore. Now, it might sound a little harsh, right? Like, well, you don't know my situation. How could you even say that? And it's true, I don't know your situation. But I can tell you that whatever your situation is, somebody else has the exact situation, and maybe even much worse, but their homes remain in order. Because what it turns out is that it's not about our circumstances, it's about our habits. Now, I hope I'm not losing you here. I hope you'll stick around, okay? Because I do feel your pain. I get it. I understand. Now, the thing is that us right-brainers, us people who are more creative than administrative, right? We are motivated by emotion and fun. The people who are left-brained and are more administrative, they're just motivated by it's got to get done. Now, that doesn't work for us. But the thing is that we think that, well, it can't be done. Look at all of these circumstances. Look at my situation. So once you realize, wait a minute, it can be done, then things can change. Now, I'm going to give you a really, really short story, okay? And there's two of the stories. I'm going to just give you one of them, all right? This is in my course as well. So here. There's many years ago, I was in a car accident, okay? And the car accident broke me from the bottom of my foot to the top of my head. I had a broken jaw, broken shoulder, broken femur, broken hip, broken foot. Something was wrong with my knee. I was in traction, right? They thought I'd never be able to walk again without pain. Miraculous things have happened since then, but that's not my point. My point is this. It was about 2 years before I was a wreck. I had figured out how to get organized. I read a book, Sidetracked Home Executives, which got me on the road to order, right? And I had gotten into that accident. Now, my home at that point in time was completely clear of clutter. Everything ran like a clock. I had 4 kids. No, at that time I had 4 kids under the age of 10 years old. The baby was 15 months old when I got into that accident. And here's what I want to tell you, okay? When I got home from the hospital and I was bedridden and my husband was at work and I had my kids at home and all of that, right? The house didn't get messy. It didn't. And that's only because I learned the secrets to how to keep it that way. And we had been in that trend of things for a while then. So everybody had their jobs, because let me tell you something. If you don't live alone, you don't do it all alone. Everybody needs to participate in taking care of the house, not just you. So I understand about having the excuse that you're really tired and you just can't get to the dinner dishes after work. It's just too hard. Or even if you don't work, if you work from home or you're a stay-at-home mom and it's just exhausting, right? I get it. But here's the thing I'm telling you. It's really just bad habits, okay? And if you implement good habits and a plan, it can all change. A lot of it has to do with attitude and a standard, right? There are people out there that no matter what, would never, ever, ever, and I mean never, consider going to bed without dinner cleaned up. No matter what life was like before, no matter what their day was, no matter what was going on in their life, no matter if they were grieving, no matter if they were exhausted, no matter, there's no circumstance in the world that would stop them from going to bed without cleaning up dinner. And here's something about that. They understand that it doesn't take as long as we think. And it's kind of something, well, no, kind of, it's definitely, it is absolutely something that makes life easier all the way around. So that tiny piece of sacrifice that you might feel about, oh, I'll do it later, right? It's wiped out by knowing that my life is 100% better tomorrow and now because I do this now. Now, so the other thing is, if you don't eat alone, then you don't clean up alone, right? Now, if your family is used to you being like, you know, the maid of the house, and they come to the table, they sit down, they eat, they get up, they take off, right? If that's what they're used to, well, it's just because we train them that way. You can retrain them. Now, if they're smaller children, I'm telling you, you got it made because, like, you know, they got to do what you say. If they're older children, well, that could be a little more difficult because they could be like, what, are you kidding me? Like, no. Or they could say yes and then just not do it. It's actually tougher with the adults, believe it or not, than it is when you have smaller children. I always suggest having a meeting, have a little family meeting and explain, look, we live like this. We don't like to live like this. We all want to have friends over. One of the things we've got to address is dinner time. And I want to keep the kitchen clean. I'm on a kitchen cleaning challenge, and the part that we're on now is dinner time. So after dinner, nobody leaves the kitchen until dinner's cleaned up. Now, the way I've done it in the past is every single person that's able to wash a dish is responsible for their own place setting, their own dish, their own fork, their own knife, their own spoon, their own glass, whatever it is that they use. They're responsible for that. So no matter who has any other jobs, right? They are responsible for those things. So you would get up and you would take care of your own place setting, either wash it and put it in the dish drain or get it in the dishwasher, right? If you have children that are too small to do it, then somebody's responsible for that child, mom or dad or, you know, older brother or sister or somebody. You give somebody a job that you're responsible for that little child. And if you have a friend over, whoever had that friend over, that person is responsible for that friend. Then what we did was we each had a job: table, dishes, counter, right? That's what we all had a job. So the person that cooked needs to make sure that they don't leave an excessive amount of stuff to clean up, right? That they, you know, have thrown away the chopped up things that they had to chop up. If they, you know, like everything that could be cleaned up by the person that cooked needs to clean up. But of course, the pot, the pan, the whatever utensils you use, that's still there, right? So whoever has the dishes, they're responsible for those things. And all of the things that are left on the table that were like serving things. So if there was anything that was in a bowl, with spoons, that kind of thing, that person that was responsible for the dishes for that day, they do all of that. The person that's responsible for the table, they make sure that the table is cleaned off and wiped down. The person that's responsible for the counter, they do that job. See what I mean? Now, you don't have to do that, but it worked really, really well when my children were small. Later on, we did things like we just cleaned up, like right now, say, okay, I live with my daughter, her boyfriend, their two children, little babies, and my significant other. I don't know what to call him because we used to be married and now we're back together after 11 years. And so it's weird to call him boyfriend and I can't call him my husband. So I don't know what to call him, but I'm here with him too. All right. So after dinner now, what we do is we all just clean up. We all just help, right? Nobody leaves the kitchen and like, well, I'm done, you know, like washes their dish and be like, I'm done. Nobody does that. If you ate, then you participated, whether you like it or not, and even the cooking, because you couldn't have eaten that if that person didn't cook it, right? So what we do now is that we just all do something. Somebody who's at the sink ends up just doing dishes that people put in it, wiping down things, sweeping the floor, putting stuff away, wiping down the stove top, right? It takes very little time to do this. It really, really does. very little time. You think, oh my God, I'm never gonna have time for this, and I'm so exhausted, I'm so tired. You know, just say to yourself, all right, there is no excuse, okay? I'm gonna give you one more story about these. I know I said I only give one, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I'll keep it short. I volunteered. We had a woman at church who had cancer, and she was bedridden. She had 2 little children under the age of 5. She had a husband that went to school at night and had a day job, and they had a elderly parent, one of their mothers lived with them, okay? And she was not in great shape, and the church was trying to figure out what can we do to help. So some people were picking up their kids for play dates, some people were bringing them to daycare, some people were dropping off food, right? They had like a little food schedule for dinner times and that kind of thing. I said, well, I can clean. You know, I know that she gotta need cleaning done. So I went there once a week to clean her house. That was my contribution, right? The first day I went there, I really felt like I was going to need a shovel to shovel her out. I mean, she'd been there for quite a while before anybody had been there helping out in any kind of way like this. So I really felt like I was going to walk into an absolute wreck, right? Well, I went in there, and let me tell you, I already had been organized at that point, maybe 10 years at that point, possibly, right? Because I was pregnant with my child number 4 at the time when I first got organized, and he was, oh no, it had to be 5. All right, 5 years, because he was 5 years old. So about 5 or 6 years, okay? All right, so I really just felt like, well, if you're in that kind of a situation, then it's just got to be a wreck, you know? So I went in there, and guess what? It wasn't a wreck. It wasn't a wreck at all. What needed to be done was stuff that required elbow grease and effort, physical effort. Like the floors needed to be vacuumed, the floors needed to be washed. There was bathtub ring in the bathtub, the sink needed to be cleaned out, the cabinets need to be wiped down, the house was dusty, needed to be dusted, but there was not one stitch of clothing on the floor. There were no glasses or cups with half drinking anything in them. There were no plates with dishes with some food in them anywhere in the house, not even in the kitchen. There were no dishes to do. There was no piled up laundry. There was no garbage lined up ready to go outside, okay? And why was that? Because they had good habits. It doesn't take any longer to have a piece of garbage, have a wrapper of something, and put it in the garbage instead of on the counter. It doesn't take any longer to take that towel that you just used and put it on a hook rather than dropping it on the floor. It takes no more time to pick up your clothes off the floor in the bathroom when you leave the bathroom after you've showered and throw them in the hamper as it does to just leave them there. Literally, it doesn't take any more time. We have this warped perception of time like I talked about yesterday, and so every single thing we do, we think, I can't do that now, I'll do it later. I can't do that now, I'll do it later. You can do that now. And your house is not a mess because of your circumstances. Your kitchen is not a mess because of your circumstances. You don't have overrun laundry. And we can talk about laundry because I have this amazing way to do laundry that is completely mine. Like I've been doing this for years and I never hear anybody doing it and talking about doing laundry this way. It's amazing. We'll talk about that in another video because it's getting long as it is, okay? So I want to hear from you about what you're going to do with the dinner time cleanup, okay? If you're alone, freaking do it, all right? Count Mississippis, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. See how long it really does take, okay? And if you're not alone, right, get them on board, okay? Get them on board. You are not the slave of the house, okay? We might have taught them that we were. It's time to unteach, right? It's time to reteach. And if you are living in Iraq, you know that they don't want to. They want it nice. So 9 times out of 10, people are on board. Okay. Something else I want to say about if you do assign the jobs, all right, if you do assign jobs, make sure that everybody gets a job for a full week. Not you get the dishes today, you get the table today, tomorrow, you get the counter the next day. Don't do that. And the reason is because sometimes you get takeout. Sometimes nobody eats at home. So it's so unfair for that one person that had dishes not to have to do dishes in weeks because they happen to have the dishes on the day where there were no dishes to do. So make sure that whatever job you give somebody, it's for an entire week. So the person who has dishes will have the dishes for the week. Get it? Person who has table for the week. All right? All right, so let me know. Let me know what you think about this, and let me know if you're doing it. Let me know if you have any struggles. I want to help you. Okay? All right, bye.